Hello and welcome. You're watching Newsx and I'm Megha Sharma. Now, at a time when bilateral ties between India and Bangladesh remain under a shadow, New Delhi appears to be signaling a massive diplomatic pivot. In a significant tribute to Begum Khaleda Zia, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi has extended a heartfelt message, while External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar's presence underscored the weight of the moment. Today, Indian Defence Minister Rajnath Singh visited the Bangladesh High Commission in New Delhi and expressed his condolences. While India maintains diplomatic cordiality during the time of mourning, a dark reality is unfolding on the ground in Bangladesh. There was another Hindu man by the name of Khonkon who was attacked by a violent group in Bangladesh. He was injured after the attack and he was set on fire. Tariq Rahman, the son of Khalida Zia, is poised to take the reins of BNP and the elections that are scheduled for February 2026. The question is, what could be the future of the India-Bangladesh ties? Let's open up this conversation on the telecast with me, Ambassador Veena Sikri. Ambassador Sikri, while the Indian Defence Minister was at the Bangladeshi High Commission in New Delhi earlier today, there has been another report of a brutal attack on a Hindu man. He was beaten, he was set on fire. The only way he was able to escape and save his life was that he fell into a nearby pond. This is the fourth such attack. 3 of them were fatal. The fourth one has saved his life somehow. And in wake of all these diplomatic associations and gestures that are being made by India, the External Affairs Minister went and visited and met the son of Khalida Zia, paid tribute to her, offered condolences. It was also in stark contrast to him not meeting the interim chief of Bangladesh, Yusuf Mohammed. How do you read into all these developments?
Well, I think, yes, it is a very critical moment for Bangladesh and equally for Bangladesh-India relations. I think it was a wonderful gesture, a very important gesture by External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar to actually visit and be there in Dhaka during the funeral services of former Prime Minister Khalida Zia. And I think Prime Minister Modi's very heartfelt letter sent and handed over to Tariq Rahman by Dr. Jaishankar was also very significant, because it really recognizes the BNP as a very important player in the scene, in what is happening in Bangladesh. And it's very important that India has expressed that we feel that the democratic forces, as represented by this large, very big party of the BNP and Begum Khaleda Zia's own legacy, she actually brought back, she and Sheikh Hasina actually worked together in 1991 to bring back democracy to Bangladesh, and they forced President Ershad, who was then the second military dictator in a row. So after 15 years of military dictatorships in Bangladesh between 1975 and 1990, in 1991, President Ershad stepped down peacefully solely because of the pressure exerted by Awami League and BNP working hand in hand and working together. So they brought democracy back to Bangladesh. It was very significant. And then again, when Begum Khaleda Zia won the election in 91, but in 96, when the re-election was, again, she was declared victor, but that was not accepted. So she also accepted that verdict from the people, and she worked with Awami League. They created the caretaker government. It was put into the constitution and so on. So certainly Begum Khaleda Zia's importance in the bringing democracy to Bangladesh and maintaining it is very significant. And that is there. But then now you come to the situation, what you've said very correctly, that the Hindus, I mean the attacks on the minorities, the Hindus, the Buddhists, the Christians, the Sufis and the Ahmadiyyas, now even the Baul singers, anything representing culture, anything representing, even the China, the very significant and important cultural association in Dhaka in Bangladesh, has been burnt to the ground. And on the first day itself, last year on 5th August, we saw the Indian Cultural Center burnt to the ground, and the home of another very important cultural figure there, Rahul Anand, his home was also burnt to the ground. So this is absolutely two separate things. And now I think that Tariq Rahman, now that the funeral services are over and he will get into the business of campaigning. I think it's a very important moment to see what he says about this, because so far he has not said anything on this issue. And there's one more point that I want to bring in also, that is that I think one important issue that Tariq Rahman will have to look at very early, and this is very important, that in keeping with the legacy of Begum Khaleda Zia, his mother, one important issue is that these elections should be participatory, with the inclusion of Awami League. This is something that people in Bangladesh are talking about. It's not something that we have been saying, although our government has also has said some very significant statements about the importance of these elections being free, fair, and inclusive. And only then they'll be credible. So this is another issue on which Tariq Rahman should certainly be thinking about, and let us see what he says in the next few days.
Professor Madan Nalapad, when we talk about information that comes in not directly from the Ministry of External Affairs, not from the Government of India, not from the Foreign Ministry, but in the back channels, there have been constant conversation, communication that India has been having with the BNP. There have in fact been meetings that have happened, as per reports, between the Indian government and Tariq Rahman when he was exiled. He has been brought back, and Tariq Rahman has particularly been quiet when it comes to these killings that have taken place, the minorities that have been killed, Hindus specifically that have been killed. In a situation such as this, these are cautious steps that India needs to take, and I do want to put out that point that India continues to question the validity of an election where all political parties are not allowed to participate, directly hinting at the Awami League's ban by the Yusuf government in participating in the electoral process. But there wasn't a time far too long ago when Sheikh Hasina had barred the BNP and Khalida Zia's party to participate in elections as well.
Look, the fact of the matter is that India has got to work with the government it has where its border country is concerned, and not with the government it wants. But quite frankly, the BNP has always been bad news for India. In fact, very bad news. They've always had a very Pakistan-friendly policy, and they have not so far moved very far from that policy of preferring Pakistan over India in South Asia. So, I mean, Minister Jaishankar is a master of ambiguity, so he has made a very ambiguous statement. But certainly, the policies of Khaleda Zia, if they are going to be leading the new Bangladesh government, assuming a government is filed in Bangladesh, because as of now there's anarchy and chaos, well, it's not going to be very friendly for India, because Khalida Zia was never very friendly for India. She did make some occasional gestures, mainly to get money from India or other facilities, but nothing more than that. So the one smart thing I can think of why this move is worthwhile is that India has made it very clear that it has not got any aggressive intent towards Bangladesh, and from that point of view, using that as an excuse to murder innocent Hindus by slapping all kinds of false cases against them is completely illegitimate. So I think it's the signal that the government wanted to send, that look, we have no aggressive intent towards you, and if should this violence continue, then Bangladesh government or whatever is there, the entire onus will be on it, mega.
Major General Gigi Dwivedi, in wake of these developments that have happened just in the course of the last 1 week, it seems as if India is taking a reconciliatory approach, because at the end of the day, Bangladesh is our neighbor. We are striving for a cordial relationship, a relationship that is without any strain and strife, for a peaceful border. And therefore, whether we deal with Sheikh Hasina and her party, Awami League, which was a better situation for India to be in with its neighbor, versus BNP, even if, and there's likelihood, or almost a certainty, that Tariq Rahman is going to become the next head of government once the election gets in place, gets election process completes, it is beneficial for India to strike a similar chord with BNP, or at least make an effort towards it. And perhaps that's what is being seen in the diplomatic back and forth that is happening between both countries.
Well, mega point is that India has no choice, and India has to work with whatever government that comes to power. But there are a couple of issues that we need to address and keep in mind. First and foremost, will the election be fair? Or will the election be inclusive? Or will they be free? There are very many question marks. And as the situation stands on the ground, I don't think the elections are going to be very fair or free, because for simple reason, the person who is at the helm, that is Muhammad Yunus, has a very distinct leaning to particular parties, and he has a particular mindset which is not going to actually ensure that the election will be free and fair. The second point is that how exactly the situation could turn out. Well, whichever party comes to power, Jamaatis are going to have a role to play, and therefore, willy-nilly, Pakistan is going to have a fair share of how to shape the narrative in Bangladesh. And more importantly, like I have myself seen that the relationship between the PLA or between the Bangladesh army, or relationship between the PLA and the Pakistan army, they work in tandem alongside the political equations. So therefore, I'm quite skeptical that ultimately what are the governance comes will be more like hybrid what is working in Pakistan, because Waqar-ul-Zaman is also quite likely to play that the army has a role in all this. Now, my 2 points, which are quick point I want to make, is that it's going to be a tough call for diplomacy, because it's going to work under serious constraints. And the second very important issue is that I don't think that the Bangladesh is going to get a stable government. It'll be a government which will be under the shadow of the army, and it'll be a government which willy-nilly will be towing the line of Pakistan as also China. So therefore, I think we'll have to play it very, very diplomatic, with a lot of agility, and again in a lot of grey zone, because things are going to be very uncertain, very difficult, and yet we have to ensure that diplomacy at least continues. What are the environment are there?
Okay, Ambassador Sikri, the point that Jamaat-e-Islami is feeling that it has been sidelined, its influence at this point of time in the political arena, where the BNP and Tariq Rahman are being touted to be the political party and the leader to take the charge of Bangladesh, does not seem to have sat well with Jamaat-e-Islami as per news reports. Do you think we have to pick the better of the evils, whether it is the BNP or Jamaat?
Let me say that actually today's date and time, the Jamaat-e-Islami is fully in control. I think that is something we have to understand, because over the last 18 months, it is the Jamaat-e-Islami. Pakistan did this coup, conducted the coup through the Jamaat-e-Islami at the behest of various Western countries. But they chose the Jamaat-e-Islami as their conduit, and Jamaat-e-Islami has always been the B team of Pakistan in Bangladesh. They are fully in control. Over the last 18 months, they have changed through democracy and through violence. They have changed the bureaucracy, they have changed the judiciary, they have changed the academia, and they force people out and put their own people there. This is a very important point. So, when we say that the BNP has more chances than Jamaat, I think this is not at all a result that you can predict right now. If it's a direct fight between BNP and Jamaat, I think Jamaat has the upper hand. Quite frankly,
why are these statements? Why has there been a pact that has been made between the NCP and Jamaat? Why are there Jamaat leaders and NCP leaders now targeting Yunus government, saying that the Yunus government was responsible for Hadi's killing, Hadi's assassination? So what's the internal political turmoil like?
Let me tell you about that. Let me tell you about that. You see, the Jamaat, the NCP wanted to show itself as a students' party, as a apolitical students' party. We are the ones who did the July revolution. It was never a revolution. We are the ones who did the students' uprising. It was never a students' uprising. So NCP exposed itself completely because in the Dhaka University elections and the Jahangirnagar University elections, NCP was nowhere because all the genuine students recognize that NCP is not a students' party. It's the sub team of the Jamaat-e-Islami, all the Islami Chhatra Shibir, the youth wing of Jamaat-e-Islami, their people were in the NCP. And in fact, at one point, NCP tried to even team up with BNP and say, okay, we'll come with you because they thought that BNP has a slightly more, wider appeal than Jamaat-e-Islami. But BNP did not agree at all. They said, no, we have nothing to do with you. And then they've gone back to Jamaat. So actually they have returned back to Jamaat. So they have teamed up there. The Osman Hadi killing, let me tell you, this is also some kind of internecine warfare. That person now says he's now sitting in Dubai, etc. So the attempt by the Jamaat-e-Islami to blame it on India has fallen flat. That's number one. The second thing is that I think the Inkilab Mancho, which is Osman Hadi was head of Inkilab Mancho, there are all kinds of stories that Inkilab Mancho was acting at the behest of some BNP members. We must also recognize that BNP has a strong pro-Jamaat wing within the BNP. They are split on pro-Jamaat and pro-liberation war. So it's a very complex situation. But let me tell you that if they are participatory elections, then actually BNP has the better chance. But if there's a direct conflict between BNP and Jamaat, then I'm telling you right now that because Jamaat has control of all the institutions, because of that, I'm saying. And secondly, I think you mentioned also that, EAM did not meet Yunus. I think this is very deliberate because it is the Yunus administration that is responsible for all these of the minorities, of the Buddhists, the Hindus, the Christians, and it's the administration which is doing it and allowing it to happen. And every time it happened, they just dismiss it. They make one story or another. Oh, Amrit Mandal, he was an extortionist himself. So and so. They are just not willing to give serious thought to this. And the attempt by the Jamaat-e-Islami, which is controlling the Yunus administration, is just to somehow get all these people pushed out. And that is another very serious aspect that we have to think of. About 2 crore or so of the minorities, and they're all going to be pushed out. It's something that we have to think about very seriously because this is the Jamaat objective.
Okay.
Every time I know people in Bangladesh who have lost their land and they get telephone calls saying, look, here's the money, take the money and leave. So they're only prepared to give the money if you're prepared to leave the country. It's a terrible situation for the minorities, all the minorities, not just the Hindus.
Okay. Professor Nalapat, again, there has been obviously this controversy that has also begun here in India, especially after Shah Rukh Khan, the Bollywood actor, has bought a Bangladeshi IPL player for his KKR franchise, and there was a BJP leader who has attacked him, called Shah Rukh Khan a traitor. Now, in a situation such as this, I mean, has the situation become so bad that India will at some point have to stop engaging with Bangladesh at cultural level, at the level of sports, like we have done with Pakistan?
Look, Megha, the truth of the matter is, now we are facing a 3-front situation of 3 fronts being rivals of India and frankly not friendly to India. Bangladesh has joined Pakistan and unfortunately China in creating that kind of a 3-front situation. And I would like to stress, Megha, that the Indian people are 1.4 billion. The responsibility of the Indian government is primarily towards the Indian people, and I think what the BNP is looking for will be a massive amount of quote-unquote aid from India that of course they will never repay. And also they believe that the massive Awami League vote bank, which is still around the majority mark, many of them will flow to BNP once it is seen that they're engaging diplomatically with India. I think these are the very hard-headed considerations behind this kind of a shift, diplomatic shift, but it's not a substantive shift. The basic posture of the BNP remains hostile to India and friendly to Pakistan and China. Let me be honest, I don't see any chance of that changing in the in the immediate future. And what kind of a free election is this when the main party has been shut out of the elections? What are they
No,
afraid
but
of?
then that's what I'm saying. That
Nothing
there was a time when Sheikh Hasina was in power. She barred BNP to be part of the electoral process, and India had no qualms accepting the mandate. In fact, I mean, the last election that Sheikh Hasina fought, I think she got out of the 350 plus seats that she fought, she got about 322, which is like a massive majority. And the questions being asked about the fairness with which the elections were held.
Look, I don't think there's going to be a free and fair election. Sorry, the party with the largest single voter base has been excluded. Many of its leaders have either been forced to leave the country or have been executed or are now in jail. That is the fate of the Awami League supporters, and that has been obvious. It's been well documented in social media. There's absolutely no change in that terrible plight that the former Awami League cadres and leaders find themselves in.
Okay.
And I agree that this is a clear indication that we are not going to be able to expect any miracles, any kind of complete shift of the BNP from Pakistan and China towards India. If you believe in miracles, well, miracles can happen, but frankly, I find it very difficult to believe that there is a new BNP, that the leopard has changed its spots, so to speak. I find
Okay.
the same
Okay,
spots,
but then,
the
like
same
I said,
leopard.
in diplomacy, you have to work in difficult situations. You have to work with difficult people, and you have to work with difficult dispensations. And that's the situation that India finds itself in. It's something that has not been created by India, but could it have been averted? Again, should there have been more dialogue between India and BNP, even when Sheikh Hasina government was in power? Well, those are questions that one ponders. General Dwivedi, again the question about again, should, I mean, the government of India is taking a very nuanced stance in tackling Bangladesh, and even as there have been 4 attacks on Hindus, I think the response of India has been subdued. Again, this is also a measured response that has been taken by India in a bid to solidify or some sort of maybe a rapprochement that it wants to do with Bangladesh. Again, the question, I think it's very radical for a BJP leader to come out and target Shah Rukh Khan for buying a Bangladeshi player. I don't think our relationship has reached to such a nadir that we are going to have to treat Bangladesh like Pakistan.
Well, Megha, the point is, I think we need to understand that today our stance, if you call me very frankly, is rather subdued. It's not even nuanced because we are not exactly using our leverage that we have against Bangladesh. Now, we have, there was Zia's government was there, Khalid Zia government for 10 years from 1991 to 96 and again 2001 to 2006. But the whole ground situation has changed dramatically. First and foremost, Pakistan Army had no footprint in Bangladesh today. 12 of the Pakistan Army delegation visited, Pakistan, Bangladesh. Their ship, naval ship Saif, this docked in Chittagong for 4 days from in the month of November. And ISI has established a full-fledged office in the Pakistan embassy in Dhaka. So the point I'm trying to make is that Pakistan army footprint is very strong, which are never there before. And this triangle that is coming up between Pakistan, Bangladesh, and China, and the kind of military support that is being going to be given. Can you imagine? Pakistan is going to train the Bangladesh jet pilots on J-10 aircrafts. Unthinkable. And the kind of joint training they are going to do, well, it is very, very serious. So the point I'm trying to make is that no matter which government is there, Bangladesh army is going to be an overarching force. And Bangladesh army and the Pakistan army, the cozying up that is taking place is a very serious situation. It's well beyond the ambit of diplomacy. It is actually a very serious security situation. So I think
Okay.
India needs to take a stronger stance, because it's not only what is happening in Bangladesh, its fallout is very serious. And the kind of development that is taking place, China has sunk in about $40 billion. They are making a base in Chittagong. They are revamping the old Lal Mohni Hat air base very close to security corridor, Siliguri corridor. So I think the diplomacy now needs to be little tough, and India needs to give a tougher message. Well, we have a nuanced approach, but when it comes to our national interest, then we'll have to use our levers, and we have very strong levers. We can choke Bangladesh in matter of days.
Okay.
Bangladesh in
Okay.
our
All
trade
right.
is
But
about
then
18
I'm saying,
billion.
will the situation come to such a head that these extreme actions will have to be taken? Ambassador Sikri, before I wrap this up, I do want to, there was one more development that has taken place earlier today. The Chinese government has sent out a message to the Bangladeshi government saying that they support Bangladesh for a smooth election that takes place in February 2026, to which Bangladesh government has responded saying, thanking the Chinese for supporting it, as well as, standing in allegiance with China for the One China policy, for the One China principle that China continues to advocate. This is also in direction to occupying Taiwan and considering Taiwan as its sovereign territory. Again, a double-edged sword. On one hand, America trying to hedge its bets. On the other side, Chinese influence is also witnessed in Bangladesh, and we also see Pakistan as a important factor in these growing of ties between both countries. How should India tackle all these powerful nations that have their stakes in Bangladesh?
Yeah, I agree with both Professor Mahadan Nalpat and General Dwivedi that this is a very serious situation. It is a security situation as well. And if you add to this security situation, because both China and America are present in Bangladesh today. If China is, making all these messages, like you said, then you also have America doing military exercises and air exercises with the Bangladesh Army and Air Force. And at one time, there was a talk of that humanitarian corridor to Myanmar, to the link to the Arakan Army. That has, subsided for the moment because the Arakan Army is not responding at all on that one. But, when you look at the complications of the Myanmar side of the coin, on the Myanmar side of Bangladesh, because Bangladesh has about a 356 to 400 kilometer border with Myanmar as well. That situation is very complex. So I think the dimensions of security are significant. There are leverages definitely which India has to use, and I think those leverages will have to come into play at some point. As I said today, because Jamaat-e-Islami is controlling every aspect of the foreign policy of the Yunus regime. Yunus is just a mouthpiece, a spokesperson for the Jamaat-e-Islami. So whatever you see him saying or see the administration saying, responding to China, etc., is really Pakistan speaking. This is how Pakistan would like them to behave and Pakistan would like them to respond. So we have to take that into account. In addition to the fact that all the minority communities, they can never forget what has happened to them in the last 18 months. And they will have, the moment you have either a Jamaat government or even, because BNP also, they had that the situation in 2001. But if Tariq Rahman now corrects that and makes a statement and speaks directly in favor of pluralism and maintaining the goodwill of the minorities and maintaining them, then it could make a big difference.
Yeah.
So this, they are all things we have to watch. I just wanted to correct one point also, that Awami League never banned BNP, never. Actually, the BNP chose not to participate in the elections.
Yeah, the fact that she's, Khalida Zia was behind bars. Yeah, okay, yeah.
participate, they actually may well have won the elections, because there was such strong anti-incumbency against Sheikh Hasina that believe whatever you do, the people would have come out and just voted for BNP. But anyway, that was another matter. But I agree that it's a sharp security situation. The three countries, the three three front situation for us, and we have to keep all these aspects in mind in addition to the condition of the minorities. And certainly, I'm sure that I think that participatory elections will bring back democracy. You'll have a functioning parliament. You'll have the people accepting the election results. Whereas if they don't have participatory, unrest will continue because people will not accept.
Yeah.
But if the people are Awami League, they will still have all their unrest and all. Yeah,
okay, all right. On that note, I'm out of time. I thank all of you for joining me on the telecast, sharing your views. I'll take a short break. Thanks for watching Newsx.